I'm going to talk about the work that we did to try to quantify the beauty of the reef using virtual reality. And quickly to highlight the fact that the Great Barrier Reef, it's a World Heritage Area. And because of UNESCO, the governments, the Australian and the federal government, they are obliged to report about the criteria of why is a UNESCO site. And one of these criteria is about the natural beauty above and below the water. And as Beth said, like it's really complicated to quantify beauty because there is this intangible aspect of beauty. Beauty is not just linked to what we see, but it's also linked to what we feel and how we perceive. And different people perceive beauty in different way. And a really fun fact is to actually the reef aesthetic, the beauty of the reef, it's pretty old. It has been reported since the 20s when the first tourists went on the reef in holidays. And at this time, it was people didn't have a camera. People were not able to dive yet. So the beauty of the reef were related through the smell of the reef, especially at low tide, the taste of the salty water, the sound on the land. Then in the 40s, we have the first camera and the first divers. So the beauty of the reef aesthetic just shifts toward like the description about like the abundant marine life. But the fun fact is at this time, people were not able to report about how much the reef were colorful. And then from the 60s to now, we have camera, we have high definition. So now the reef aesthetic and the beauty of the reef, it's really linked to the visual sense. So what we wonder, the research we did is like, we wonder like now with the new technologies, such as the virtual reality, where the virtual reality allow you to be completely immersed into the reef and not just see the reef, but also feel about what can happen, having some emotion. And so we are trying to use virtual reality to do some environmental conservation research. And we put together an experiment to try to quantify what makes the reef so beautiful. And so in this experiment, we used 360 images of the reef. And so we went on tour, we went into different, we went at Ames, we went into different research institutes, but we also interview people who never dive on the reef, and we immersed them into virtual reef. And we asked them some questions about if they like what they see and what they don't see. And then we used the statistical modeling to be able to quantify some reef aesthetic attributes. So trying to find the link between when people like the reef and why they like this reef. And as Ben said, like it's a really complex problem, and statistical modeling can help us to disentangle and to consider for all this complexity. And so what we found is actually we found that people like diverse color and like complex reef landscape. And it's a really interesting findings because complex reef landscape, it's what we call in the field, it's about reef complexity, and it's already a matrix which is monitored through health during the health monitoring, because a complex reef means a healthy reef. But the diversity of coral, a colorful reef, do not necessarily mean it's the healthy reef. For example, the sponges are really colorful, but they're not necessarily the indicators of the healthy reef. So what does that mean? It means that to be able to put together a monitoring for the reef aesthetic, that means we need to find some indicators to really monitor what makes the reef so beautiful. And so here that's a bit of self-promotion. We are starting a new project with the team here to use the concept that we develop on the reef to apply it to Antarctica. So we are going on tour really soon, using virtual reality and to find people, to interview people while they are immersed into Antarctica landscape. So if you are interested, please contact us and we will let you know when the interview will happen. Thank you.